All right, so how we doing, people? Um, this is gonna be kind of the coronavirus. So I guess you could say coronavirus awareness live stream. I'm gonna get some information going. We're gonna talk about it today. Let me know if you want me to go ahead and drop a link. But I'm probably gonna end up dropping a link anyways. Um, all right, all right. Hey, what's up, Gab? How you doing, man? I see you, Gab. Real conversations. How you doing, bro? Peace, man. Okay, cool, cool, man. Tell you what, man. Today I want to talk about this Corona stuff, man. I wanna read about it. Get some information out about it. We're gonna talk about it with the family today. Um, and first, I'm gonna give my a little bit of my opinions on it. A month ago, we were all living normal lives, pretty much. Okay, we was living normal lives, and all of a sudden, we get this lockdown, we get everything is the world has been turned upside down, you know, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Um, the world has been turned completely upside down. All right, and everything is closed except the grocery stores. The only way you can get food out of restaurants, you just have to do pickups and that kind of thing, and you got to go right back home. They already call in martial law or the National Guard out in California, Washington State, and New York. Okay, and I am aware of that. All right, but hold up, let me go to all right, the COVID-19 Wikipedia. And let me see. All right, all right. Now am I sharing my screen right now? This is like Oh yeah, there we go. All right, cool. All right. Um, and what I want to do is I want to do the looking for the Wikipedia. All right, is this it right here? Okay, cool. The 2019-20 coronavirus pandemic. All right. And hold up. And this is crazy, y'all. Just look at the death tolls. Okay. China 3,261, Italy 5,476. Okay, Spain 1,772, Iran 1,685. What the fuck, man? Shit, crazy. Okay, the 2019-20 coronavirus pandemic is an ongoing pandemic of coronavirus disease 2019 caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2. The outbreak was first identified in Wuhan, Hubei, China in December 2019 and was recognized as a pandemic by the World Health Organization WHO on March 11th, 2020. As of March 22nd, more than 335,000 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in over 190 countries and territories, resulting in more than 14,600 deaths and 97,000 recoveries. Okay, the virus is typically spread from one person to another via respiratory droplets produced during coughing. Primarily, it spreads when people are in close contact, but may also spread when one touches a contaminated surface and then their face. It is most contagious when people are symptomatic, although spread may be possible before symptoms appear. And I think that's very important right there. Okay, that you can actually spread this without even having any visible symptoms. Okay, the time between exposure and symptom onset is typically around 5 days, but may range from 2 to 14 days. Okay, common symptoms include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Complications may include pneumonia, acute respiratory distress syndrome. There is no vaccine or specific antiviral treatment. Primary treatment is symptomatic and supportive therapy. Wow, okay. Recommended preventive measures include hand washing, covering the mouth when coughing, maintaining distance from other people, and monitoring and self isolation for people who suspect they are infected. Okay. Efforts to prevent the virus spreading include travel restrictions, quarantines, curfews, event postponements and cancellations, and facility closures. These include a quarantine of Hubei, nationwide quarantines in Italy and elsewhere in Europe, curfew measures elsewhere in China and South Korea, various border closures or incoming passenger restrictions, screening at airports and train stations, and travel advisories regarding regions with community transmission. Okay, school and universities have closed either on a nationwide or local basis in over 124 countries, affecting more than 1.2 billion students. The pandemic has led to global socioeconomic disruption, the postponement or cancellation of sporting, religious, and cultural events, and widespread fears of supply shortages, which have spurred panic buying. Misinformation and conspiracy theories about the virus have spread online, and there have been incidents of xenophobia and racism against Chinese and other East or Southeast Asian people. Okay. All right. I'm trying to. Okay, cool, cool. All right. Can you guys see my screen now? Because I'm sharing my screen. I think I pressed the right button. I think you guys should be able to see my screen now. All right. Now let's look at I want to look at this chart right here. We're gonna look at because everybody been talking about the countries that have been getting it. I know South Korea. I'm trying to look. South Korea only had 111 deaths, but I heard South Korea was one of the countries that was doing a really good job with the treatment and stuff like that. I heard that they had a lot of tests. They had a lot of tests packets ready, and they were testing 10,000 people a day. Okay, so South Korea jumped right on, got jumped right on the gun, and they got down to it. Um, Italy, for some reason, has had a lot of problems relative to their population. They have like 7,000 deaths. Okay, no, 5,476 deaths relative to their population. That's bad. That's really bad. Um, I heard Russia didn't really have a lot of problems with it because they have real strict visa laws, so they just shut their borders down. Russia isn't even quarantining anybody. All right, they just shut their borders down. And that kind of thing. So them shutting their borders down is what allowed them to not really have this disease like that. And I wonder why the U.S. has had so much trouble. Well, I wonder why the U.S. didn't do that. How come, the U.S. didn't just say, "Hey, let's shut our borders down. Let's shut it down until we figure out what's going on." Because I did remember hearing some reports of there was a dude that had it in China, but I think he was Chinese, but he was American citizen, and he flew back to Washington State, and they were supposed to quarantine him, but I guess he ended up just going home. He didn't even really get quarantined, and he probably spread it on his way home. You know what I mean? I'm like, how did they let that happen? That shit is weird. That shit is weird as fuck to me. You know, I'm looking at how did they let that happen? I mean, the dude had the virus, all right, and you just let him go home. See, in the beginning, they wasn't really quarantining people the way they should have. Okay, let's look at signs and symptoms. Okay, because a lot of people were saying, I've heard a lot of people say, they think they may have it or they thought that they had it. But the reality is, there's very specific symptoms for this. It says, okay, symptoms of COVID-19 are non-specific, and those infected may either be asymptomatic or develop flu-like symptoms such as fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. The typical signs and symptoms and their prevalence are shown in the corresponding table. Okay, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, lists emergency symptoms including difficulty breathing, persistent chest pain or pressure, sudden confusion, difficulty walking, and bluish face or lips. Immediate medical attention is advised if these symptoms are present. Okay. Further development. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay. Difficulty breathing. Okay. Persistent chest pain. Pressure. Sudden confusion. So this thing can affect your mind too. Okay. Difficulty walking. Bluish face or lips. Immediate medical attention is advised if these symptoms are present. Okay, and let's talk about the usual incubation period ranges from 1 to 14 days. Okay, it is most commonly 5 days. Okay, that's how long usually a common cold lasts, about 5 days a week. Okay, in one case, it may have had an incubation period of 27 days. Okay, so I've also heard of the longer incubation periods as well. With that being said, okay, and my thing is, so like here you got his symptoms right here. They got a list: fever, dry cough, fatigue, sputum production. Okay, shortness of breath, muscle pain or joint pain. Okay, sore throat, headache, chills, nausea or vomiting, nasal congestion, diarrhea, hemoptysis, conjunctival congestion. Wow. You know, wow, man. This is crazy. All right. And I want to say, because I recorded some info on this. Um, I did record some info on this. Hold on, let me get my and all right, let's go ahead and get the link out. Okay, let's get the link out. Anybody want to come in, talk about this, and have a discussion? Um, I'm all down for that. All right, but I heard that people. I've heard a lot of things about this disease. I've heard a lot of different things about its abilities. Okay, and what it can do. I've heard various reports, okay, but I think the Wikipedia at least provides a basis, okay, for what's going on, and I feel that the information is at least a start. All right, it's at least a start. Now, let's talk about this is the domestic response. Okay, China. And I want okay, the first person known to have fallen ill due to the new virus was traced back to December 1st, 2019 in Wuhan, China. Now, I heard that it's been out since November. That's what I heard. I heard that there was people that had it before this, but let's keep reading. Okay, Dr. Zhang Jian observed a cluster of unknown pneumonia on December 26th, and her hospital informed Wuhan Jinhan CDC on December 27th. A public notice on the outbreak was released by Wuhan Municipal Health Commission on December 31st. Okay, so it took them a month to deliver the information about it. All right. Who was informed? Okay, the World Health Organization was informed of the outbreak on the same day. Okay, during the early stages of the outbreak, there were concerns regarding the censorship of information related to the outbreak. Okay, Chinese National Health Commission initially said they had no clear evidence of human to human transmission. Okay, so this is what China said initially. Okay, no clear evidence of human to human transmissions. Okay, now the Chinese Communist Party launched a radical campaign described by the party general Secretary Xi Jinping, okay, as a people's war to contain the spread of the virus. And what has been described as the largest quarantine in human history. The quarantine was announced on January 23rd, stopping travel in and out of Wuhan, which was extended to a total of 15 cities in Hubei, affecting a total of about 57 million people. All right, now see, China, they only partially, because China has like a billion people, they only partially quarantine. They didn't quarantine the whole country like what America is trying to do. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Okay, private vehicle use was banned in the city. Okay, now America hasn't done that yet. We haven't banned people from using cars yet. Okay, but we'll see what happens going forward. Okay, Chinese New Year, January 25th, celebration was canceled in many places. Okay, the authorities announced the construction of a temporary hospital, Hanshu Hospital, was completed in 10 days, and 14 temporary hospitals were constructed in China in total. Okay, now, okay, so China said China didn't quarantine their whole population. Okay, they didn't do that. They only quarantined 57 million people, but that's a very small number in comparison to their population. Okay, but over here in the States, you got this mindset that hey, you got to shut everything down. You got to shut the whole country down. You got to shut all the businesses down. And I don't think it's sustainable. I really don't think it's sustainable what they're doing. Um, it's bad for the economy. I don't see it lasting much long. I don't see, what's going on. I don't see it lasting. I don't see how they're going to sustain it much longer, given how bad it is for the economy. Okay, because this is really bad for the economy. Um, got the stock market crashing and all that. It says Okay, you got South Korea. Okay, COVID-19 was confirmed to have spread to South Korea on January 20th, 2020 from China. There was a large increase in cases on February 20th, potentially attributable to a gathering in Daegu of a new religious movement known as the Shanju Church of Jesus. Now, I did hear that in South Korea they had like a religious thing. They had like this thing going on with some religious cult over there, involved with this virus. Okay, 42 Chinese Shinjuju devotees visiting Digo from Wuhan, China, were suspected by some as propagating the outbreak as of February 22. Among 9,036 followers of the church, 1,261, or about 13%, reported symptoms. Damn. Okay. South Korea declared the highest level of alert on February 23rd, 2020. On February 28th, over 2,000 confirmed cases were reported in Korea, rising to 3,150 on February 29th. All South Korean military bases were on quarantine. I've just confirmed that 3 soldiers were positive for the virus. Airline schedules were also affected, and therefore they were changed. Okay, South Korea introduced what was considered the largest and best organized program in the world to screen the population for the virus and isolate any infected people, as well as tracing and quarantining those who contacted them. Screening methods include a drive-through testing for the virus with the results available the next day. It is considered to be a success in controlling the outbreak despite not quarantining entire cities. Okay, the South Korean society was initially polarized with President Moon Jae-in in response to the crisis. Many Koreans signed petitions either calling for the impeachment of Moon or what they claimed is the government's mishandling of the outbreak or praising strongly his response. See, the South Koreans they wanted their president to be impeached over this, man. You know, so they were taking this very seriously. Very seriously. They wanted him gone. They literally wanted him out of office. Okay, literally. You know, hey, you know, and so let's go to Iran. Iran reported its first confirmed cases of SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19 infections, on February 19th in Qom, where, according to the Ministry of Health and Medical Education, 2 people had died later that day. Early measures announced by the government include the cancellation of concerts and other cultural events, sporting events, and Friday prayers. Universities, higher education institutions, and schools. Iran allocated 5 trillion reals to combat the virus. President Hassan Rouhani said on February 26, 2020, that there were no plans to quarantine areas affected by the outbreak and only individuals will be quarantined. Plans to limit travel between cities were announced in March. Okay, Shia shrines in Qom remain open to pilgrims until March 16, 2020. Okay, Iran became a center of the spread of the virus after China, amidst claims of a cover up of the extent of the outbreak in the country. Over 10 countries had traced their cases back to Iran by February 28th, indicating the extent of the outbreak may be more severe than 388 cases reported by the Iranian government by that date. Okay, the Iranian parliament was shut down, with 23 of its 290 members reported to have had tested positive for the virus on March 3rd. Now, that's another thing. Okay, you keep seeing these people in government, these elites and stuff, getting the virus. Okay, all these celebrities and stuff, Harvey Weinstein, Idris Elba, Kevin Garnett, all the people in Congress and all that getting the virus. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it, Tom Hanks? Why is it all these celebrities and these elites and stuff keep getting this virus? To me, it's weird. It's not really the average person is really getting it. Is it keeps on being these people high up in government getting this virus. You know, what is weird to me. It's just really weird. And now, as far as Italy, let's talk about Italy. Okay, the outbreak was confirmed to have spread to Italy on January 31st when two Chinese tourists tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 in Rome. In response, the Italian government suspended all flights to and from China and declared a state of emergency. On January 31st, the Italian Council of Ministers appointed Angela Borelli, head of the Civil Protection, as special commissioner for the COVID-19 emergency. Okay. An unassociated cluster of COVID 19 cases was later further detected, starting with 16 confirmed cases in Lombardy on February 21st. Okay, in February 22, the Council of Ministers announced a new decree law to contain the outbreak, okay, including quarantining more than 50,000 people from 11 different municipalities in northern Italy. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte said in the outbreak areas, entry and exit will not be provided. Suspension of work activity and sports events has already been ordered in those areas. On March 1st, the Italian government ordered the full closure of all schools and universities nationwide as Italy reached 100 deaths. All major sporting events, including Serie A football matches, will be held behind closed doors. Okay, until April. Now, see, at least in Italy, they're still playing sports, but in the US, they shut down like the whole NBA. Like they shut all the shit down. Like just shut everything down. They found, I guess, they found some of the players that had it, and but in other countries, they're still allowing sports, at least behind closed doors. Not necessarily with fans and stuff. Okay, but on March 9th, all sport was suspended completely for at least 1 month. On March 11th, Prime Minister Conte ordered stoppage of nearly all commercial activity except supermarkets and pharmacies. Okay, on March 6th, the Italian College of Anesthesia, Anaglacia, Resuscitation, and Intensive Care published medical ethics recommendations regarding triage protocols that might be employed. As of March 22, 2020, there were 559,138 confirmed cases, 5,476 deaths, 7,024 recoveries in Italy. Okay, on March 19th, Italy overtook China as the country with the most coronavirus-related deaths in the world after reporting 3,400 fatalities, 405 fatalities from the pandemic. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And let me check Discord out because I've heard a lot of interesting information on Discord involving this as well. But that was like yesterday, though. All right, let me look at my. Because I've recorded some of it. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's taking a while to load. It's supposed to be a fast computer too, but All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's check this out.
Possibly even higher than a 7.7 RO, which is huge. Tatanka, I looked up something about that. You're more at risk if you're male as well. Yeah. But consideration. And also, Trump is 74. So he inadvertently fucked himself over talking the way he is. Like, well, not only that, but if you're outside of the old series, if you're erythrocytes, like say you're an A positive, B positive, A negative, B negative, if you're outside of the O series blood, you actually have more of an adaptation to the actual viral infection. So if you're A positive or B.
All right, now I want to say that now. I'm happy to say that I know for a fact that I'm O positive blood type. All right, so I maybe have if not an immunity, at least I'm a little bit more resistant to this type of thing. But I know I got family members got type A blood type. I know my mother has type A because I was talking to her today. So that's something to watch out for.
Positive or any of those outside of O, you are more susceptible to actually having the virus produce more processes of mitosis within inside of your blood. So O negative is more susceptible to the virus then? No. O has more of a defense, and the reason for it is because of the encasing enzyme around your erythrocytes. Because I'm O negative. Yeah, if you're O negative, if you're in the O series, you have an exterior enzyme wall that's around your erythrocytes that make it so that you are less susceptible to the actual the virus itself being able to penetrate the cell wall and strip RNA from that specific cell in order for it to create replicants of the cell. But if you're A positive, which is the most susceptible, then if you're A positive, then your A wall, the actual cell wall of your erythrocyte is much thinner, and therefore the way that the virus actually replicates itself is it has a series of spikes that are on the outside. It produces three separated enzymes. One's called F enzyme, one's called M enzyme, and the other one is an S, M, and O enzyme. And what that does is the enzyme allows the virus to break down the outside of the cellular wall of the erythrocyte, enter into the cell itself, and then strip the RNA from inside of that cell, filling in its gap block of RNA, and then it goes through a process of replication of mitosis, which means it will start replicating itself inside the cell. Okay, well then what happens is it replicates itself so much it strips the cell of the RNA, of so much RNA, that then the cell goes through apoptosis, which is cellular death. And when the cell dies, it explodes, and when it explodes, it releases spores of that exact replicant that was inside the cell that then go out and attach themselves to other cells and do the same exact process. That's how it both. So yeah, that's probably why I got a text from Red Cross saying, "Hey, if you have O negative blood, please don't." This thing is again. I literally called this a year ago. A year ago. They want you to donate because you have COVID. Yeah, I know. But I literally, like, there's actual, like, I'm hearing rumors flying around that they might actually start. Just one moment. One moment. There's rumors flying around in the medical community that they might actually go out and the federal government might pay people who have O negative blood to donate their blood because they just need it. Like people are flipping out about us being at 20,000. This is nothing. This is nothing. How did you know about this a year ago? We just surged past 300,000 in the world. So what was the question? How did you know about it? Well, because we have been tracking how these particular viruses transmutate, and specifically research that we've been doing in the bat population around the world, because that's the easiest way for transmission is for to gain a specific enzyme, transmutative enzyme that allows it to pass from animal to human. Bats happen to be one of those species that carry it. That it is a good transmitter of taking, say, an animal husband viral infection to allowing it to transmutate that specific bacterium into a format in which it will transfer to humans. So you track it. Well, back in October, which is something they're not explaining to people, back in October, you had a biological weapons groups from around the world that got together in Wuhan, China, to do tests and protocols on bats in that region. That's why China is currently trying to say that this is a biological weapon that's been transferred by the United States. Why? More than likely, they're correct because we were testing on bats in that region. And then one of these bats that was tested on ends up in a wet market, Wuhan, and the next thing you know, you got transmission from human to Homo sapiens sapiens. Fuck. So now what you have, if you look at its model, which is something that he wouldn't fucking comprehend, if you look at its model, there are certain blockchains that are bonds within inside of the RNA that could not be made in nature. Cannot be. This is a timed release thing. And people better start getting aware of it. And last year, I said, 2020, they were expecting this, we didn't know which one they were going to use. But there were talks about this specifically being released, a type of this being released into the public. Ask Chad. It's the reason why Chad invited me into his channel, because I was in his channel last year talking about this very thing. Oh, I remember when you were there. And here we are a year later, and it's happening. And whether anybody wants to be aware of this or not, like, you know, it's just unprecedented that, like, I was told they didn't expect to get this prostitute. No, what I think they didn't expect to see was, they didn't expect to see it change so quickly. Like, they didn't expect to see its phase structure adapt through the human population so quickly. You know, their hopes would have been that it would stay in its original A strain. You'd have creation of antibodies that you'd have a serum, right? What they didn't expect for was it to go in phases, which is the problem. Let's say if they come up with antibodies for phase 1. or A series 1, right? They come up with an antibody serum for that. Well, as soon as that virus transmutates within inside of the body, it no longer will be susceptible to that specific serum that's being applicated. So now you have to start over from round 1. Then, let's say it changes again, and you get the third phase of the sequence. And the third phase of the sequence now will not be susceptible to the first 2. So this is going to go in waves. I'm expecting, I'll put my prediction out there. I've said it before. My prediction is 480,000 over the next 6 months.
Hey, if you click that link, and on the left side, you go click on underrooted, you can see like which nucleotides are contained. I put a link in the show chat.
Yeah.
You just have to like click and then
This is the first modeling phase.
Yo, there's a lot of nucleotide mutations.
Yes.
So, how long do you think this quarantine thing is going to last?
I think it's going to be minimally until September.
How?
Because they're lying to people. First off, this idea of being socially distant 6 feet away, you don't have to cough or sneeze. This is an airborne pathogen. The pathogen cultures in the throat. It does not have to be in the epithelial or lung cavity culture. So therefore, you won't have any symptoms whatsoever because it hasn't entered into the bloodstream or entered into your lung cavity, which is not going to raise your temperature. Your body's not going to, you're going to feel a fever. You're not going to have a cough. You may have a slight dry cough due to the culture being in your throat, a slight tickle in your throat. But outside of that, just you breathing is transmission, and your breath can travel for up to 15 feet away from you. So this idea of being socially distanced by 6 feet because of interaction, like direct contact, is complete nonsense. Secondly, it lasts for longer than the period of time in which they're saying on dry surfaces, because the shell of the actual viral infection will dry up. And once it comes into contact with any type of moisture, it then will become active or live again. Once your body creates antibodies for it and it sends it through a process of hibernation for the actual bacterium to go through hibernation, you're still a carrier. You may not be contagious, but your body's still carrying it around for up to 3 to 4 months, which means that you could be susceptible to actually going through the process of having the same exact symptoms that you started with.
So 2 to 3 months, and they said they're going to be quite opposite, that it would take about for recovery within 2 weeks, like incubation period, and then like almost 3. They're lying.
They're lying.
That's nowhere near enough time at all.
It's outright lies. They're telling outright lies.
Then, like,
look, you don't have to take my word for it. Get on the internet, go to YouTube, listen to Dr. Michael Osterholm. Okay? Yeah. He's one of the top investigative virologists in the world, and he'll give you the truth.
But that's not even, that wouldn't even cover a month, you know?
It doesn't. This whole entire thing is all nonsense, what they're saying. And then you have to ask the question. A lot of what they're putting out there, a lot of what they're putting out to the public right now is going to cause the public to become infected.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
So the complaint in both two things is just the fact that, like, because there's such a fast recovery rate that it's controlled.
No, I think the CDC is using what we call herd immunity. I think the whole process of this quarantining and keeping people in their home is to force herd immunity within society. Because your children, could be carriers and contagious and have absolutely no symptoms whatsoever, never show a single symptom whatsoever, and still be able to transfer it to any adult in the home. So now what's the culture rate? What's the culture time period? Oh, that's right, 12 days, right? It takes 12 days to culture. How long are they making everybody stay in their house? 14 days. Do I need to fucking write it in crayon?
In California, it's exactly that right now. Except for groceries, pharmacies, and
20,000 is nothing.
They're doing tests, and some dude got sick again from the coronavirus. It was like a whole 28 days of him being sick, and at one point they tested his throat after he stopped being sick, and he still had like the viral culture in his throat.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he stopped showing symptoms.
Yeah, you stop showing symptoms, you're still a carrier.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what, the scary part are the lies. It's not even the virus that's the scary part. The scary part are all of the lies that are going out in the public. It's just sad. I just and there's nothing that any of us that understand and look at, like, actually read the models and understand this can do it right enough.
Here's my question. This is just getting me a little annoyed. Why is Donald Trump like saying it's a Chinese virus when is he saying that to stick it to China and say they're trying to clean your act up? Or
no, they're going to use it. They're going to use it as a way. I have a feeling this will probably end up in The Hague at some point.
Oh, what is this? The Hague?
The Hague, the International Court.
Technically, the United States hasn't signed the Roman Act or Roman Statute, so we're observers in the Hague International Criminal Court. But so what we do is we direct like the UK or France to do our representation.
But I can still see this ending up there.
Oh yeah, I do too. I think what's going to happen is our ambassador is going to do a closed door meeting, quotation marks, and then an open door meeting with all the cameras yell at the Chinese.
Well, yeah, because they're going to try to put this on. They're going to try to put this at the feet of the Chinese, and then you have to ask the question: who really is to gain by this? Does China really have a benefit to releasing this to the world? No, they don't. They really don't. They put themselves in a massive amount of risk, right? So who really has to gain by this? The United States has the most to gain by it because the amount of debt we've incurred with China. So how do you eliminate the economic debt that we have incurred? I don't know, maybe $1.4 trillion being given out to our citizens due to a virus that comes from their country. It's as simple as connecting the dots. And the sad thing about it is that the majority of citizens aren't smart enough to catch it. They're just not. They're not smart enough to get it. What's going on? This leads to so many things that people don't understand. Okay, so now, like Home D was just saying, this leads into suspension of habeas corpus. Then from the suspension of habeas corpus to the suspension of Ponzi comitatus, meaning that now, according to that specific law, no military, active Army, active Marines, active Navy, whatever the military happens to be, can be put boots on the ground in the United States. It's against the law. But if they suspend Ponzi comitatus, then they can put boots on the ground, force martial law, call martial law across the country, quarantine, and then forcibly get rid of liquid capital within inside of the market. What that means is, because of our dollar bills, because of our currency being made out of fiber, being made out of cloth, fabric, this particular viral infection has the ability to embed itself into fiber and sustain itself for a good amount of time. So now what they're going to claim is Well, you can't have hard currency anymore because if you're exchanging currency, you run the risk of passing that dollar bill with the infection on board to another person in exchange, and therefore giving the virus to somebody else through the exchange of hard currency. So now that eliminates hard currency. Now you go to a digital currency market, that all transmission of goods and services have to be done through a card service or through some sort of digital currency exchange. Now we eliminate that process. Now you have Walmart, who's been literally paid by FEMA over the last 10 years to actually create concentration style camps across this entire country. 800 of them to be exact. Well, they didn't just build these things for shit and giggles.
Hansine Chakriya.
No, why does Kami? Oh, I guess Kami's muted. I don't know why he's muted. Hansine, but he's asking him all.
Can you speak to him? He's unmuted. Did you get my PM?
Yeah, can you give me his name, his like username?
Yeah, hold on. He still does need to change it because I don't want to risk any.
What I find funny is since starting the radio program in 2012, we've been talking about this and explaining that this day was coming. We called it that it was going to happen in 2020. We said it was going to be taking place over the course of between 2020 and 2021. When you then get Agenda 2031, that'll take place after this. This is literally following a sketchbook. What's your YouTube channel order? Called Wild Blocks Live. It's in his profile.
Step back to so you take, well, you now say that there is basically, this was a setup and the end goal was just wiping out sort of our currency right now. And
No. What is this virus attack? What is the major population that's being attacked by this specific virus? What are the highest risk individuals that get this virus as far as the morbidity rating?
older people.
Oh, that's exactly right. Senior citizens. And how many senior citizens do we have currently that will be coming into society in the course of about the next 10 years? A shitload of them. And how many of them would be claiming Social Security?
Yeah. So it was like basically just limiting the population of it.
And a way of, well, I see it in several folds, eliminating of older generational senior citizens. Economically being able to eliminate hard currency exchange within inside of the social market. Being able to transfer power, which we still have yet to see. Because mind you, if this thing goes another 3 to 4 months, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't suspend elections. Because how are they going to handle that?
Yeah, they can't have voters coming around.
That's what I'm saying. How are they going to handle that?
They can always use Pete Buttigieg's so you say this is probably when Trump has more control, like martial law and whatnot,
he'll suspend.
Yeah.
And then you still have the course of the Agenda 21 program, which is taking place. This is all part of Agenda 21, folks. It's all part. And as soon as this ends in 2021, then we will get the next stage of it, which is Agenda 2031. This This is all part of the UN agenda.
What's Agenda 2030?
Well, you can look it up. There's so much to cover in it. It's ridiculous. There's 1,600 pages of the agenda.
Was it say this is their population reduction? So say that again. Agenda 21 is just population reduction.
No, Agenda 21 had several different segments to it. The first of it was to coalesce the populace into smaller groups, eliminating large swaths of the United States into open territories that would be controlled by BLM. Then you had infrastructure changes, getting away from general transportation, like the current general transportation that we currently have, to more of a socialized transportation system. So live and work concept, where you will be working exactly like living right where you work, which is what they want to push for separated and more control. Then the last part of that is to eliminate portions of the senior population so that that the United States economy is not going to incur the debt that their social economic burden on the actual economy. You have a huge amount of seniors that will be coming into the marketplace in 10 years. A huge amount. And that burden itself, they don't have that money. That's why there's always been, like, for the last 10 years, all you've been hearing about is about Congress taking loans against Social Security and not being able to pay it back.
So just kill them off with the disease instead of openly letting them start.
It's the best way to figure out what the fuck is going on is to track the money. Follow the money. Follow the money and you get the agenda. If you don't follow the money, you don't get the agenda. And then this gives them, of course, this then would go into another conspiratorial concept, which is, what's a good way for them to control the population to know that whether or not you're a carrier or a continued carrier? RFID, bio-RFID. It's live track.
They're talking about the microchips.
Yes, with a biomarker. They can tell when the viral infection becomes active or live. And they'll say it'll be for the safety and security of national security in the United States.
Mark of the beast, baby.
But these are, of course, are all things that people don't, they don't care to know. So, they don't want to know. They don't want to read. They don't want to read the documents. They don't want to read the stuff that's happening. They just tell us. The truth is stranger than fiction.
Truth. All fiction comes from truth.
And if you don't know about Agenda 21, I suggest you get first real fast.
I always thought it was just population reduction. The whole part about changing our infrastructure to like accommodate more like social transportation, like buses and trains, I like that. I might end up reading Agenda 21 and reading one.
Well, what's the best way to boil a frog?
Oh, I'm a communist. it, so all this interest mining stuff builds me. This thing is scarier than what people imagine, what they're actually accepting, and they better get used to the idea real fast because it's going to get ugly real fast. This is just the beginning. This is just the start. We have yet to see the peak of this thing, and I don't expect to see the peak of this thing until probably mid-July. Okay. Right after he changes it back to like, what the fuck? Well, and I would say that we should expect to see 81% saturation of the country. Because eventually you're going to hit the point at which hospital and the medical industry isn't going to be able to keep up with the effect. And that's the part where the military has to get involved. So that's it. That's what will happen. As soon as you start hitting bed racks, where all the bed racks are filled, and you don't have the Army Corps of Engineers building enough tent cities, medical tent cities, in order to house and quarantine, you'll start seeing it in mass. It'll exponentially speed up the rate of infection in the country beyond what people can possibly imagine. Hey, what are chemtrails for? Well, that's a 4-hour conversation in of itself, so I'll save the 4-hour conversation. Welcome to this gentleman, and Wiggins, and he's the top researcher in the field of bioengineering and geoengineering. And I will post it. This is the subscriptions. It's like Alex Jones, like AJ is a fucking disinformation special. Oh, so he's not right about the things he talks about. Most of what comes out of AJ is complete nonsense. Okay, thanks. So you mean there's no such thing as interdimensional shapeshifting vampire? Sure. Sure. You made a pretty compelling argument. That's what you'll think until you see one. See, the funny thing is we have him on this server, but he never comes in the voice chat. It's not AJ though, it's AJ's crew. Yeah. Okay, Chill Chat. I'm gonna post it. Chill Chat. This is his YouTube site, and this is his website. Oh, I just fucking spelled it, of course. That's okay. I'll Google it. No, I got it. There. Did it give you the link? Oh, it doesn't give you a link. Why didn't it give you a link? Check this channel. Say that again. You say you're putting in the chill chat text channel? Yeah, I put in for some reason the bot didn't use the role here. One sec. There you go. Doing that again? Man, the bots have been going down all day. So annoying. What the fuck balls? They take us. Hold on. Hey, Master Peasant, do you see this little gift that I posted in chat? Those two Asian women, the one eating those cats. There you go. I just was laughing so hard. Every single thing you ever wanted to know about geoengineering. Bingo. There you go. You could spend the next year on his site reading documentation starting from the 1970s. I wonder if I should order studies tomorrow morning. Like, can you two of the main reasons why the government wants to engineer the climate? Well, one specifically because they understand that right now that we are currently entering into a part of celestial space that has a particle wave that spans from the center of the singularity, the massive singularity of the center of the universe, that gives off a pulse ratio of cosmic energy particles every 26,800 years. Those specific high frequency particles that are flying at almost the speed of light, entering into the sun's atmosphere and hitting the plasma that surrounds it, causes the sun to go through a series of CDMs, giving off energetic exchange, which then bombards our outer region, which is why we're starting to see a third layer of radioactive fielding within inside of the Van Allen belt region. And those particles are highly energetic moving particles that will move, because they're so small, they'll move through your mass, through like biomass, which in turn then causes all kinds of problems. Like destroying DNA. Correct, destroying DNA. So the first concept was that they aerosolize like aluminium, barium-10, thorium, and a bunch of other things inside of the high aerial suppression, that it would work as a barrier that would then the particles, not only would they slow the particles down, but it would work like a sponge, so it would pick those particles up and then suspend those particles, and then as it was coming down to the atmosphere, it would become inert on the ground, which isn't what's happening. So that's besides that. That's what they felt. The second part of that is to push this constant change of climatology, so that you get this push for the concept of people believing in climate change as we know it. Well, fuck, we understand the processes of climate change, but what you have something that's even more dramatic than that, which is at the center core, the iron ball itself changing its magnetic field within inside of its magnetic chamber, and therefore going through the process of rotating its outer shell, which is what has been happening for the last 20 plus years. I mean, so much so that we've changed almost all of the azimuths of all of the runways of the country. Is that because the magnetic north has been racing towards Siberia? Bingo. Over 300 miles already. Yeah. Like they're saying that it could be over Siberia in about 2050, 2060. It's exponentially speeding up every year. Yeah. There are a lot of things happening all at once right now that is nothing good for us. Doesn't it like exponentially speed up like towards the center and then it flips and then starts slowing down? Correct. That's exactly right. And then let's not even begin with talking about the production and release of the Alien Agenda program. Are they ever gonna disclose? Of course they will. They'll disclose it, but they'll disclose at the point in which they can release the tech. Like once they can start utilizing the technology. The high aerial 4D holographic imagery that was designed and created through China, and most of the protocol testing was done in China, to the Telstar 7 series satellite. This is weaponry, directed energy weaponry satellite system that was funded through the Star Wars program during the late 80s, to sound resonating technology that was developed in Russia,
which is where all the humming and big booms and all this shit that's coming from underground is coming from, through that tech. But they'll utilize all three of those to convince individuals that we're being attacked.
Yeah, I saw a whole funny one. Humming big out of the able to find it. You were talking about some metallic sphere with like a metal oxide coating traveling around or something. Could you talk about that? Yeah, you said that was like some alien artifact or engine.
Correct.
Okay, where did it come from?
It was found in the mountains of Tibet during the first expedition in 1936. And then the OST and LSS sent in another secondary expedition in 1938 when it was taken out of Tibet and brought into Germany. By a guy by the name of Hans von Kammler.
So do you think the EM drive is going to work?
Who the fuck knows?
Oh, I heard that was like a hoax or whatever. Like when they were measuring or experimenting it to see if like the propulsion, that they just had like an error in measurement. Yeah, but they had that error multiple times, like enough to make it so that they'd plan for a multi-million-dollar satellite to put it up in space and then try it in a vacuum.
And if you really want to get scared, then you want to research a little project called Project Alice at CERN.
Wait, I've heard of that. Alice, what the heck?
Which is a whole other subject.
Are they making black holes?
It's just these little tidbits are things that the public should know about, but they don't ever really give a shit because of course we're all kooks.
Someone was talking about Bill Gates saying that he's somewhat in favor of the depopulation sort of.
Well, he's directly attached to Wuhan. He's directly attached to the lab of Wuhan because he funds Norvax. Norvax is one of the lead contractors that utilize that facility. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds Norvax.
It almost 6 months ago. It almost makes you think that there should be. Well, is there any other influencing sort of elite, I suppose?
Say that again.
Is there any big influencing sort of elite?
Yeah, it's called the Free Hair Society. Then from the Free Hair Society, you get the Council of Nine. From the Council of Nine, you get the Council of Initiates. From the Council of Initiates, you get the Rosicrucian Order. From the Rosicrucian Order, you get the First Rite. From the First Rite, you get the Freemasons. From the Freemasons, you go on both society, and so on and so forth.
Three hairs is in hair or the rabbits?
Hairs is in rabbits. Their insignia is 3 hairs, which are rabbits, look like rabbits, that are in a circle circumference around the room. And there's only 5 of them in the entire. They're when you hear people talk about the real government or the dark government or the deep state government, that they're the ones that are in charge.
Are they Jews?
There may be one of them that's a Jew. They're not from Jew. They're not all Jews.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if they happen to be. I'm sure there's probably one of them that is.
I'm trying to find something about Project Alice from CERN. I can't. or Alice experiment, whatever.
Are you using Google?
Yeah, and then I changed it to DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, get off of Google.
Yeah, dude, I was talking to them the other day how I couldn't find anti-vegan stuff even though I searched anti-vegan articles or whatever. And then I switched to DuckDuckGo and boom, first result. And then they're shadow banning people in USA from watching conservative channels. Here it is. Here we go. You have to be patient because I've filed with it. Yeah, I think I'm pretty patient. There you go. Link is X. Newsfeed. Ask a woman physicist. Okay. Soup. Where the hell is chill chat? I can't find the bot's not working. When you join chill chat, it gives you the chill chat role, and then you can see the chat.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
Who was talking?
So, yeah, if you could throw a roll on me, I'd appreciate it.
Hey, Bill, how's it go?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm just kind of silent tonight. I'm busy doing shit. But I enjoy listening.
Punish Mars, did you say you didn't have it?
What the fuck? Did I start something? Like, we got all these people. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, I needed to.
You're the radio voice. That's why they're here. Well, because I guess maybe I should, I don't know. Like, I have a radio voice. No shit. I've been on the radio for months. So, thank you for letting me know. Did you guys see the pig? I didn't. I don't think I did. Okay, well, I don't know why it's not like. What was the thing for? They said they still couldn't see the VC, the chill chat, even though I gave them the role. I don't know, earlier when I came in here, this fucking Discord was funky as shit because there was nothing on the right hand side of the screen. Like, where this is everything, there was nothing there. It was just empty space.
I can see chill chat now.
So,
Okay, cool. And that's it from that particular feed. So I just want to get that out there. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the stream off now. Let me know what y'all think. Leave comments, subscribe. I just wanted to make a video about this, and this was trending in the news. A lot of people talk about it. Let me know what y'all think.